Hello everyone, so this is to do with these CCTV cameras in a lot of public buildings and courthouses, in hospitals, in council offices. In cabins not the same, in the library are taking stuff, and in other parts of public buildings and cabins the same. And I knew about this a few months ago. People were saying that it was a Chinese pretty much camera that was installed in public buildings in Ireland. And to be totally honest, it wasn't a shock to me back then. It isn't a shock to me now, because it's plain and simple that the Irish government just don't give a shit. To be totally honest about into the security and stuff, they don't care. But of course, it's a huge way. We shouldn't be buying them from China anyway. We shouldn't be getting them from China. Could we not get an Irish company to get CCTV cameras? I don't know why we're running off to China to get CCTV cameras and stuff. But of course, there's a huge risk to it. The new civil defence headquarters in Cavan is huge. Like, they used the new civil defence headquarters, and they used the swimming pool and stuff. Oh, it's a joke. And how we knew about this, because again, the government knew about this, and local councillors and TDs knew about this. Like, it's not new. I knew about this 6 months ago, so it's not a shock. And especially, we should have known about this in the new civil defence headquarters. Don't know why nobody ever said, "Hang on a second, why are we getting these cameras from China?" And surveillance cameras, Chinese fucking surveillance cameras. Why are we doing that? Like, why are we spending thousands on them to give it to the Chinese? It's quite insane. Because it's insane. And then you see these cameras, like, they're everywhere. You see them on all the public buildings, pretty much. But why are we doing this? It's quite insane. I think even in Leinster House, too. No, I don't think they are in Leinster House. Maybe they might be. But they're in a lot of government buildings, too. It's not just used in Cavan. The controversy, that's what I'm saying. It's used across the country in all different local authorities, but Cavan has a good few of them too. Not as many as some local authorities. Dunleary and stuff has a lot more. But I don't know why we never sat there and thought about it for a second, because we all knew about it. But it's the matter of it that we didn't want to give it to an Irish company because we want to do it on the cheap. That's what we want to do. We want to do it on the cheap. Even though it costs thousands a year, wherever the money goes to, who knows. But obviously, this is a huge security risk to the state, to people, because China is not, communism is not your friend. Let's put it that way. But it's especially because it's in some sensitive areas, hospitals and stuff, and in council offices and courthouses and stuff, records and stuff could be lying about. Could be used in spy gather information, etc., etc. But I don't know, we should be taking them down, to be told. We should be taking them down right now and throwing them in the bin. And getting a company from the United States or United Kingdom or wherever the hell. But, as I say, it's already banned in the United Kingdom, the United States, Australia. You think we probably should have done the same, But logic doesn't exist. And again, the Irish government... to be totally honest, they probably spy on their own citizens. Well, they definitely do, but the Gaudi are checking our WhatsApp groups now, so we might as well have the Chinese looking after us too. But in all seriousness, jokes aside, when this force was raised a few months ago, there should have been all tear down. Like, this was raised a few months ago, only now the media are catching up to it. Because I knew about 6 months ago, because somebody said it to me. And I looked into it and it was true, because it was a Chinese firm that pretty much installed these security cameras. And I looked into it, and it was to do with the civil defence headquarters, I think somebody said at the time. And I looked into it, and then there was other places in Cavan too. I looked into it, and it was pretty much all the same Chinese cameras, pretty much. And that's how I found out 6 months ago. And I probably wouldn't have found it only for this new civil defence headquarters that's in Cavan. Because I think that's somebody said, hang on a second, what's the story here with getting Chinese surveillance cameras? I think somebody was like, hang on a second, what's this about? And then I found out about it. But I didn't say anything at the time because I didn't know was it widespread. I didn't know how widespread it was. I knew it was a good bit in Cavan, but I didn't know was it around the whole country. I didn't have evidence to say that's in Dublin, it's in here, it's there, or everywhere. I had evidence to suggest that it was not everywhere in Cavan, but in certain areas of Cavan, in the courthouse and different parts. There was evidence to suggest there was the Chinese, but there was no evidence to suggest that it was everywhere. So that's why I said nothing at the time when I found out about it originally. Because I just didn't have the proof to say it's everywhere. Even though a lot of people were saying it at the time too, that was in the majority of public buildings. But at least we have the truth now, because again the truth finally comes out. But the government have sat in their hands and haven't done anything about it. If this was me, I'd be tearing them down. I'd be saying to the local authorities and to the HSE and to the Office of Public Works, because it's the Office of Public Works who are responsible too for the security of local council offices. It's the Office of Public Works. And the same with the hospitals and stuff. So I would be tearing them down. I'd be telling the Office of Public Works, go and tear these cameras down, throw them in the bin. So will they or will they not? We'll see what happens. But as I say, we have to start taking our security serious, because it is a threat to the state. It is a threat to the state. And of course to the Irish people, not even to the state, because the state already spies now, so it doesn't matter about the state. But to the Irish people, because I'm sure to God, we don't, some person lying in the hospitals and what a Chinese communist agent looking at it over in China and stuff like that. Because that's what happened, to have a back door into the system in China. Like, it's the same with TikTok and stuff, the back doors. There's back doors into the app from the Chinese Communist Party, so they can look into what's happening in the Western world and try and manipulate the Western world into brainwashed, pretty much, if you ask me. But that's enough about communism and stuff. But yeah, it's a joke, because they knew about this. This is not like it's a new revelation. As it says here, it was already banned in the UK and US. Do you think we would have sat down and said to ourselves, actually, there's something pretty wrong here? But yeah, there's no Irish companies, of course. We can't employ Irish people to do these kind of things, to install surveillance cameras and to make... Because there's loads of Irish companies, I've looked myself. There's loads of Irish companies who have CCTV, who specialise in CCTV and stuff. But you would have to give the money to an Irish person, and don't want to do that, the government. They want to give it to somebody else, than an Irish person. I went to that. But anyway, thank you for watching, subscribe for more, and bye.